Clay, welcome to the show.
Mikey, thanks for having me, man. Thank you for your patience, for the support, and shoot, man, welcome to South Florida, dude. I'm out here by my dock.
Yeah, it looks nice, man.
Moved in here a few months ago and still getting settled, but man, it's great to be by the water, and it's great to be part of your show.
Thank you so much, man. And I appreciate that. And yeah, a lot going on with you. You've been fishing, I guess. I see on your Instagram.
Yeah, man, I've been home. Let's see. I think I've been down here for 5 days, and I've been fishing 3 of the 5 days, man.
I enjoy fishing, right? Like it's a cool thing for me, but I'm not into it like you are. And I know guys that are really into it. They're into hunting or fishing or whatever the case. What is it that makes it so exciting for you? Because I understand, like, something gets on your line, you don't know what it is, you fight with it, you're excited to see what it's going to be. Is it going to be big? But it seems like once you've had so many fish and like you fish so much as you have, what makes it so exciting for you to go out there and fish all the time?
I think it's just the unknown. You know what I mean? It's you don't really know what's under the water when you're fishing for salt. When you're fishing salt water, there's millions of different kinds of species. You're kind of a little bit limited when you're fishing freshwater. But I am a bass fisherman at heart. That's what I grew up doing, fishing for bluegill, fishing for catfish, things like that. But what has really kind of piqued my interest about living on the saltwater and getting a place down here is, kind of not really knowing what you're going to get on any given day, any given cast. And the fact that, I'm not, I don't hunt very much. I've only gone a few times for Chad Mendes' Fins and Feathers guide service. I got to do a couple of pig hunts, which was awesome, man. I got to do one out of a swamp buggy, which is like this gnarly off-road machine, and you just literally like cruising these out in these ranches, and you run over these trees and bushes, and these hogs come out and you blast them with AKs, with ARs, with shotguns, rifles. It's pretty wild. And then the other one he asked me to do was a helicopter hog hunt, where you run over these fields in Texas outside of Austin, and our captain, the pilot, literally just pulls you right over on top of these hogs, and you're just shooting these things out of a helicopter. So to me, the difference in hunting and fishing is you can see what you're hunting obviously all the time. In fishing, most of the times, unless you're sight fishing, you can't really see what's under there. So, it's always, to me, it's a mystery. You know what I mean? And I feel like you have to work a little bit harder for it and be a little more knowledgeable, maybe. Not to take anything away from hunters, because those guys, they'll be out there for days and not see the species they're hunting for. You talk about patience, man. It takes the ultimate sacrifice and patience for those guys to, just be out there and live off of the land or what they just have in their immediate backpack, what they have in their gear bags, things like that too. So one thing that's always intrigued me about fishing is, and I kind of compare it to wrestling, and I kind of compare it to MMA. It's one-on-one, man. Yeah. You're fighting that fish solo, no matter what. It's you, the line, the fishing rod, and that fish. So I think you can't blame anyone. You can't blame your coach. You can't blame, you can't blame anyone except the guy that's holding that rod and the guy that's holding that reel. Yeah. So there's kind of a lot of similarities there. It's been fun. It's been something for me. I started my whole, when I was a young boy, my old man taught me how to fish, like I said, for catfish, for bluegill, for bass. And now I'm down here by them in Florida, and I started the shirt that I'm wearing and this little coffee cup I'm drinking out of Gillz and Thrillz with Guida.
Oh yeah, I saw your Instagram page for that.
Yeah, so it's a fishing entertainment guide service. I teamed up with my former opponent, Chad Mendes. Now we're business partners. We've been buddies ever. We were buddies before we competed against each other, before we shed the Octagon together. Now we're business partners, and it's really cool to learn from him, because he's been rocking Fins and Feathers now, I think, for 5 or 6 years. And it's great to learn from someone like him, who's so passionate about the outdoors world, so passionate about hunting, competing, wrestling. You guys have seen he's been on the top of the... Yeah,
he's fantastic.
And he's fought the best. I still believe him and Jose Aldo have the greatest, if not the greatest, featherweight bout of all time. Their second one was bananas, man. I watched it again the other day, and it was just unreal to see those guys cracking each other, knocking each other down. I think they dropped each other at least twice in the fight.
Yeah.
So it's cool to learn from someone like him. And so I just noticed, it's always been a passion of mine to fish, and I knew I want to get starting to get ready to transition for when I do hang up the gloves, and however many years it's going to be. I have no time limit on that. And to see how Chad has been able to transition and be successful in his, mixed martial arts world, and transition over when he hung up the gloves to how successful he is now with outdoors and with this guide service. So basically, my concept was, I want to take clients and fans and people out fishing, and I kind of want to wrap it around, things that I love to do. And people know, obviously, I love to compete. I love to go to UFC events. I love live music. I love wrestling. And I love professional sports. So that's kind of the concept I came up with, is combining the fishing with the, with my lifestyle. So I want to, I kind of wanted to put that all together and show our fans and clients how appreciative we are of their support, and get to take them behind the scenes at some of these concerts with some of these bands that I'm friends with, like Slightly Stupid, Metallica, Zach Brown Band, just to name a few.
Wow.
Or take them to some of these, sporting events. I'm a huge Cubs fan. We've been lucky enough, they let me, when I fought in Chicago, they had me throw out the first pitch. I got to do the 7th inning stretch. So I get to take these guys and meet some of the players, or just take them and put them in cool seats, and, just give them a different, vantage point, a different view of what they might not, get to see all the time, and take them to a UFC event, and get to meet guys, and really just show them that all access kind of VIP concierge service, if you will. So just because we're so thankful of the blessings we've had in our sport, and the cool things we get to do, I like to kind of pay that back to our fans that have sacrificed so much to pay those expensive pay-per-views and tune in. While they're busy, and tune in after work or whatever it is, man, they make time for us. The least I can do is make time for them. So we got some cool trips coming up. In a couple weeks, we actually have one in Miami with Rashad Evans. He's a big fisherman too. So we're going out peacock bass fishing in Miami with him. And this guy, Monster Mike, he's a YouTube sensation. This guy catches monster peacock bass, which look like tropical fish, even though they're brackish water. They're in the canals of Miami. So we got that one. Then the next day, we're going out with Mark the Shark. This guy catches like 10 to 12 foot hammerhead sharks, tiger sharks, red snapper, Goliath grouper, mahi, you name it. And then later that month, my boy Chad Mendez is coming down with our business partner Mike Papa, and we're going to go out for these huge tarpon out here just a couple miles away from me, Goliath grouper. So I can't wait to see Chad get on a Goliath grouper, watch his arms burn off, man, because I tell you what, I've seen it break bodybuilders and grown men, and Chad's one of the strongest, one of the hardest hitters I've ever felt, and I cannot wait to see him get on a giant fish and to see that scream and watch Chad struggle a little bit, man.
That's awesome, man. I always ask guys that are kind of in their mid-30s or so. You obviously 39, what their end game is, but you already answered that. So now I know this is what your passion is. This is what you're going to do. So you jumped ahead and answered that already for me. And then I totally can see you not like living off the land and being patient when you hunt. I can totally see you shooting AK-47s off helicopters. It sounds like a Call of Duty expansion pack way of hunting. So I have no doubt in my mind that's the way you choose to hunt when you hunt. That's crazy. But moving back a little bit, I want to say congrats on your big fight. Michael Johnson, obviously, big fight, big win. You almost had him out there at the end. Nice choke. And it seemed like you had a nice little figure four in there, and you were squeezing him pretty tight. And he endured it, and you still won, obviously.
Thank you, Mike. I appreciate it. And you know what? Those are the tough ones, because Mike, he's a friend of mine as well. You know what? And we met, I say 10 years ago, maybe a dozen years ago, down in Missouri is where he's from. I was down at Lake of the Ozarks, just boating. We were at this bar, and he came up and he was super nice. And he's like, "Hey, Clay, I've been watching you for a long time. And, I'm just getting into the fight game right now." He wrestled in Missouri. He's got some accolades. I believe he was a Division II wrestler. Yeah. So he had some success there, and he was just always pumped. I could tell he had the passion. I knew he had the look in his eye. You've seen it before, guys that, that got it. You know what I mean? And so we trained together a little bit at Jackson's for a little while. We hung out, at UFC events. Obviously, I've seen him fight live. We hung out in Florida, him and Anthony Johnson. We've been at a couple of UFC events and just mixed martial arts kind of expo signing, stuff like that. So he's my little buddy. And then once the UFC called and offered that fight, at first I wasn't having it, man. You know what I mean? Yeah. But UFC is they don't give you many options. Yeah. And at that, we had just signed a 4-fight deal. Yeah. And gonna not accept the first fight that they offered. You know what I mean? Because sometimes they don't look too highly upon that. Right. It was one of those. It was a tough one. And Mikey's is tough as it comes. His skill level is far beyond mine. He's a dynamic striker. We've seen, his ground game is pretty solid. His wrestling game is good. Like I said, he's wrestled, a bigger school than I have. He's fought some dominant dudes.
Yeah, for sure.
He's beaten some best guys out there. He's fought the Khabibs, Dustin Poiriers, Tony Ferguson's, you name it. His list is, it goes on and on. So I knew that was going to be a tough one, and we were both coming off a skid. I was on a 2-fight skid. I think he was on a 2 or 3 fight skid. So that was one we needed, man. I guess it's safe to say. And I know, and I messaged him a few days after the fight. Friendship is one thing. A fight doesn't ever sway that for me. You know what I mean? And I messaged him, and he was super respectful. I told him, man, it was an honor to share the cage with you, little bro. And I appreciate that. And I told him, chin up, stay focused, stay positive, because the best is yet to come. And I realized, and I truly believe that for a kid like him, he's still got a lot left in the gas tank. His talent level really, really is it's top notch, man. And we really had to work hard on that fight. I don't know how we did, choke him out in that one, man. So it just shows you he's got a lot of heart, a lot of balls, man. So props to Mikey on that one, man.
And you're always so humble in victory or defeat. And you said after the fight, you said that there's always something to learn. I noticed you said that. What is it that you learned during that fight? And then also in a second part to that question, was he what you expected? I mean, going into the fight, did it kind of happen the way you kind of thought of it?
Man, with the guys that I train with, I call them hold them down Holdsworth. Chris Holdsworth, one of the best jiu-jitsu guys I've. The fact that I get to learn from him, he's a black belt. He's been, training, for so long. We're lucky to have him as one of our head of jiu-jitsu instructors at Team Alpha Male. And I mean, his record speaks for itself, man. Chris is amazing, and we go over that choke time and time again. Just how to finish that one. It's Coach Danny Castillo, who's always in my corner as well. He's a black belt. We've gone over that, how to finish that, and Michael did a great job defending it, man. He really, really showed a lot of guts, because I think I had his back for at least a minute. That could be a long time for the guy that's down there. And what brought the fight that kind of was going through my head at the moment and afterwards was, Gunnar Nelson, Damian Maia. I was like, dude, two of the best guys, and what Damian Maia just ran through him, and Gunnar Nelson was just like next level. It just shows you how dominant Damian Maia is. And then also Damian Maia and Matt Brown, when they fought, I think Maia had his back like the entire fight, and Matt did such a great job of defending it. And I think he might have got caught at the end, like in the 3rd round or something. So it takes a lot of patience. It takes a lot of poise to be down there for that long and know that you got a backpack on you, whether they're a wrestler or jiu-jitsu guy. You know what I mean? So, but those are things that I definitely need to improve on and need to learn, because sometimes you might only get that one chance in the fight to finish that. And then, hey, if that round doesn't end, if that's not the 3rd round, say that was the 1st or the 2nd, and there's still a few more rounds, that might have been the only chance, and I blew it. And then I'm back stuck into Michael Johnson's game, or whoever it is, being stuck in the feet. Maybe I can't finish the takedown or something, and I'm, going against a high-level striker. So he definitely did a great job there. We knew watching the past fights, because I think 5 or 6 of my teammates at Team Alpha Male have fought him. You know what I mean? And, Josh Emmett, Danny Castillo, Andre Feely, Darren Elkins, I think one more. So the list goes on and on. So we kind of knew him inside and out, at least so I thought. And he's beaten a lot of those guys on the feet. So I feel like if we were able to use our level changes and then just kind of threaten the takedown, it was going to open up our hands, as sloppy as my hands are. You know what I mean? I felt like we connected a lot in that fight. And he was tagging me up too, man. Obviously, I had a nice black eye that just went away a couple of days ago.
I saw you had a cut. Like you got a cut pretty early. It seemed like.
Yeah. You know what? That happened in the 1st round, and sure as shit, I swear. And I was running to the fence, and I had my head looking down, and I see blood coming down. I'm like, oh man, not again. I'm like, here we go. You know what I mean? And I wasn't sure who was it from, but apparently it might have been. I think the ref told us. He's like, hey guys, be careful, the headbutts. So he thought it was a headbutt.
Might have knocked heads.
You know what? It was tiny. It was right here.
Oh, okay.
And wasn't nearly as bad. I thought, man, here we go. I'm gonna have to get stitches again or something like that. But it wasn't bad. But yeah, he was cracking me, man. And every time I was throwing, he was hitting back, and he was hitting me on the top of the head. And they didn't feel great, but it's better than getting hit in the face, obviously. He had very good takedown defense. I really had to dig, and I had to kind of get to sloppy wrestling almost. I had to just kind of reach for his ankles, reach for the back of his calves, and just kind of make it ugly. You know what I mean? Because he's like I said, we knew what to expect on the feet. We knew he was going to have that fast, that cross that he's tagged so many people with. But I think the leg kicks kind of started to work on him too.
Yeah.
I was throwing that inside leg kick a lot. He maybe wasn't expecting that. Started to wear on him. But yeah, I always can take I can learn a lot, obviously, in every fight, but mainly. There's no reason I shouldn't have finished that. I had his back for at least a minute, and it shows a lot of balls on his end that he was ready for that. And I was squeezing that body triangle super tight.
I
was squeezing that choke. So it just shows you how tough he is as a wrestler and as a fighter.
Yeah, was that pretty much what you didn't expect going in? I mean, you obviously knew he was tough, but like you obviously didn't think he was gonna get out of that choke. So, was there anything that you thought during the fight, like, wow, I didn't expect that, or that he did something and you were just like, oh, I didn't prepare for that?
You know what? We knew he hits hard.
You were ready.
Down, and looking at the Darren Elkins fight, Elkins submitted him pretty quickly. We thought we were going to be able to get that choke. So, pretty much everything that went down in the fight, we had already premeditated it, but. He just showed a lot of toughness, man, hanging in there for that long, because especially at the end of a fight like that, a lot of guys are looking for a way out. You know what I mean? If he wasn't a wrestler, I think we would have gotten him out. So once again, another kudos to Mike on that one, man.
And you're a true OG, man. You've had some of the greatest fights in the sport and in the UFC, and you've, I don't know how many bonuses you've probably amassed in your career. But you called out up-and-comers now. So you said you want to fight some up-and-comers instead of maybe some like legend, kind of like people in your kind of same situation maybe. Or I understand top fighters, but it sounded like you were saying more guys that are kind of like up-and-comers versus guys like yourself or guys that's just had a lot of fights or maybe older. Is there a reason for that? Like, are you looking for just a different type of challenge or someone that doesn't know you as well? Or
yeah, and just to clarify that, like you said, I didn't mean that to come off the wrong way when I had said it. You know what I mean? Because obviously people know we fought everyone. You know?
Yeah, you did.
And pretty much, you know what I mean? Whether they were before they were champ, after they were the champ, on their way up to the title fights, whatever it is, So I'm not asking for a guy it's his UFC debut by any means or anything. Yeah. Guy with maybe a handful of fights, not a guy that, has got 20 or 30 wins or 20 or 30 UFC fights already. Because if you look at our last handful of opponents, man, since I'll even go with my last, my last fight at featherweight. I mean, Brian Ortega didn't have a lot of fights, but that dude was undefeated. Yeah. And we were, piecing him up pretty good. And man, he caught me at the end. Good for him. And now he's got another title fight coming up. I'm super pumped for that one. That's going to be awesome.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Back up to lightweight after that. Eric Koch, that dude's fought. He's fought just about everybody. He almost fought for the belt against Jose Aldo when he was at welterweight, but then I think he had an injury or something like that. So he was on his way up. Joe Lozon, I mean, come on, that speaks for itself. And then, Charles Oliveira, he was, I think he had a couple of losses, and he's put one on me in my hometown. So that was a bummer, man. And look at him. That dude has been on. Yeah. I got his. It sucks, but I got his winning streak back going. I think he started with me, and that dude has been just a buzzsaw since then. I think he's on 7 or 8 wins, and what he did to Tony Ferguson and Tony's most fun dudes to watch. I was blown away by that, man. Honestly, I don't know if people give him a lot of credit for that, but to me, that was one of the most impressive fights or impressive victories as of late that I think might be overlooked. So people watch out for Charles Oliveira. After that, fought Jim Miller. I mean, that dude's got the most fights in the UFC between him and Tony. It's a bummer. Him and Bobby Green, their fight just fell out. I hope Bobby Green's okay. And let's see, and then Michael Johnson. So between those 5 or 6 guys, I think we're looking at 100 wins, maybe in the maybe definitely in their career, maybe in the UFC. So yeah, I'm not looking for a baby. I'm not looking for a brand new guy to welcome to the UFC, but maybe a guy that a handful of fights in the UFC or something like that too. So no, I've never been much for calling anybody out. You know what I mean? Still love to get one back against Nate Diaz, even though we got our hand raised in that one. But that's another side piece. But that's all good. Let's see. They were supposed to fight this past weekend. I don't know how you pronounce his name exactly. The Jakar Close and Pena. I think they were supposed to fight. Something happened. I don't know. I think one of the guys got COVID, a cornerman, so they had to cancel that one. So I think that'll probably be postponed or rescheduled. But I feel like those would be good fights. You know what I mean? And for a fun one. Those guys are up and comers. They're very athletic. They're fun to watch. Those guys are big swingers, heavy hitters. They're wrestlers. You know what I mean? So they can kind of do it everywhere. So I think I want fights like that are intriguing to the crowd. That and those guys, that's a win-win situation for young guys like that anyway. You know what I mean? To take on
You're
a
gonna
veteran.
get the best fight.
So I don't see too many guys turning down fights against us right now. So you know how it is, man. We're up. We'll take on the world. We just love to go out there and put on a show for the fans, man. At the end of the day.
So you're just kind of waiting around right now. You don't have anything in the talks or that you can at least announce or anything. You're just kind of watching the fight, seeing how they're going, and waiting for the call.
Yeah, I would like realistically, I'd like to get back in there May or June. So if anyone's ready to rock and roll, we're always ready, man.
Nice.
I'm light right now too, so if the UFC had to call, I'm about 2 runs or 2 workouts away from making 155 again. So yeah. Well, I mentioned it after the fight too. I think in the post-fight little press conference with no spectators. Obviously, it's kind of weird how it is now. It's like in a tent out there.
Yeah.
It's 6 media guys on their camera. On their laptops. One camera. Yeah, I want to really stay busy. I honestly would like to get 3 fights in this year, like we did right out of the gates. I think my first few years in the UFC, we fought 3 or 4 times. My first year, I think we fought 4 times. Roger Huerta, Marcus Aurelio, Tyson Griffin, Dean Thomas. So those at the time, man, it's crazy to look back because I think we were on the same card, and that's when we were both super, super active. So I would like to get that at the ripe old age of 39. I still feel more youthful and more active than I ever have. So I hope the UFC hears this and knows that I'd like to fight in the middle of the year, and then right around my birthday in December, that'll be the 15th year in the UFC. So that'd be kind of cool to do something like that, a big blowout fight at the end of the year or something. So that's just kind of a time frame, and we're always ready to rock and roll. You guys know that.
All right, hang on a second, guys. I'm about to give you something for free and save you money at the same time. Do not fast forward. Please listen to me, guys. If you or you know somebody, does that make sense? If you or you know somebody, yeah. If you or you know somebody has balls, I'm about to change your life. Listen, guys, Manscaped is the #1 below-the-waist men's grooming product on the market by far. The official trimmer of the UFC, the official trimmer of the Real Quick and Mike Swick podcast, and yours truly. All you have to do is go to manscaped.com, manscaped.com, use code QUICK at checkout. Now, code QUICK is my nickname. It's not instructions. It doesn't mean to trim your nether regions in a quick manner. I do not recommend that. That is very dangerous. So code QUICK is my name, which lets them know that you basically went for the podcast or from the podcast, which supports the podcast, and you get 20% off your purchase and free shipping to get the best product on the market. Win-win for everyone, guys. Thank you. Dude, your energy level when you fight is crazy. Like, first of all, that fight, even with Michael Johnson, all your fights, they're just absolutely incredible and crazy. And then after the fight, going out to the fight, and then after the fight, you still have so much energy. And like, is this something that you've always had your whole life where you can't help it except jumping around and being like full of energy? Or is it something like a mindset thing where you're trying to like always look fresh and full of energy even before the fight and after the fight, just as like a mental thing for your opponents? Or where's that come from? Because man, you have more energy than any fighter for sure in the UFC before, after, and during a fight.
Thank you, Mike. I appreciate that, man. And you know what? That's something that started at a young age. I get it from my dad. It's funny. He's 67 years old. He's just at a doctor's appointment right now because he's getting another reconstructive shoulder surgery. He's had them done before, both of them. He's getting another one.
Wow.
Because he can't settle down. And my parents literally live 2 miles away. So I was hanging out in their pool yesterday. We had dinner, and my old man after dinner, the guy can't sit still. He's up on the roof. Leaf blowing the roof, and then he's vacuuming it at the same time with the shop vac. So I get it from him. You know what I mean? We've always got to be doing something. Yeah. So I definitely know that's where I think it's a genetic thing. That's where we get the tough grittiness. You know, he grew up in Chicago, fighting in back alleys and fighting in the schoolyard and stuff like that too. So I can credit to him and my mom. She worked a couple of jobs raising us. My big bro Jay, I got the wrestling and the fighting. Toughness from him. He picked on me and beat up on me every day growing up, so I think I had no choice but to be tough and be ready. But also too, man, I had to make up I always got to be in better shape than my opponents, and that started at a young age when I stepped foot on the wrestling mat. Most of these guys were more athletic, but higher skill level. Just maybe just better all around. So I had to make up for it somewhere. If I couldn't beat them at that place, I had to beat them in the cardio and the conditioning, and just keep pushing these guys. So that's carried over, and that's where we found so much success in not in our wrestling career, but in mixed martial arts. If we could push these guys, I know it was a mindset, a mentality. If I can make them tired, I'm going to find a way to win. That's because most of the guys are better strikers, better wrestlers, better jiu-jitsu guys, whatever it is. But I know if I can tire them out, and you've seen it before, man. When you break a guy, when they're tired, man. You number, it's game on. You lay on that gas pedal, dude, and it's crazy to see a grown man break, per se, in front of you. So not to mention, man, just being out there and doing what I love and get to put on a show for a crowd, whether it's 20,000 people screaming at the Arco Arena or the Anaheim Arena, the Duck Pond, or in Vegas, MGM, Mandalay Bay, wherever it may be, man. We've been fortunate to fight in front of some big crowds, or whether this last fight and when I fought Bobby Green over the summer, man, in front of an empty little small arena. It's kind of cool, man, because that there's people watching back home. There's people watching, out by you, around the world, in different islands, all over the place, because Dana White and the UFC have done such a great job building up the sport and promoting it, that those are what it's all about, man. Fighting for them. And I tell people, if you can't get up and get excited for a 15 or 25-minute fight to fight a grown man, and you get tired, you're in the wrong sport. You better find something else to do. So it's always been that, and just my love for being put. That's my stage. I tell people all the time in interviews, what? I'm the lead singer. I'm the drummer. I'm the sound. I'm
everything.
The tour. That's my night to shine, man. That's my musical stage. You know what I mean? I've always loved baseball growing up. I've always loved football. So I wasn't able to make it in those sports. You know what I mean? But that's my one night to shine and go out there and just have fun and and do what we do and let the rest happen.
Well, you've done a great job of that. And for those people listening that haven't fought and understand what he meant by breaking people, I can explain it like this. I've had to explain this before, but when you've raced somebody before, and a lot of people that's watching and listening to the podcast have raced somebody or been in a race with multiple people, when you're racing and you're not quite so tired and you start passing somebody up and you see that they're tiring and they're huffing and puffing, that excitement and that feeling you get as you pass them up and you're doing better, it's like that times 10 when you're in a fight and you start noticing your opponent is huffing and puffing and starting to get tired. So for those of you at home that are watching, that's kind of the best way I can relate it to everybody that's kind of like had a race or competed against somebody when they've seen them get a little bit tired and they knew they were going to pass them up and win the race or whatever the case.
For sure. No, you nailed it, man. And adrenaline takes over at that point.
It's crazy.
There's nothing stopping you, man. I don't care if it's Brock Lesnar's in the cage with you, man. Once you hit the mental switch and you shift gears, dude, it's almost like an invincible feeling, man.
And since you just mentioned your family, because this might be the answer to this question, you're always so humble. And it's easy to be humble in defeat when you get defeated or something like that, but you're humble in victory as well. I've seen you win fights and say, we're just happy to get our hand raised, and you've completely dominated the fight or whatever the case. Is there somebody that you can credit to that gave you that mentality and that mindset to always be humble and be so appreciative? Because it seems like that's just been something that's followed your whole career.
That's a good question, Mike. I appreciate that. And you know what? I spoke about them earlier. My parents, my best friends, number one fan. They've taught me everything. And because when I was little, I had, a couple of, times on the football field or a couple of times in wrestling matches, I'd lose in overtime and I would throw my headgear or something like that. Yeah. My mom did not stand for it. She would, I'd walk off the mat and she would get right in my face and tell me that's not how you, that's not how you handle defeat or victory. No matter what, just always be respectful to the referee, to your opponent, to whatever it is. I should give you a little slap across the face or whatever, and a little spank on the butt. But I owe it to my parents and my brother, because you can't be a hothead in the sport, and I really carried that throughout my life in business, and then passing it on to our wrestlers. I coach wrestling, youth and high school wrestling as well, and I kind of would see some of these kids do those things that I did when I was little, and it's tough to swallow that. You know what I mean? You don't want to pass that on, and it's amazing. You think about it, you're like, oh man, I was that kid. I was a little brat for a little while. You know what I mean? But those are good life lessons to learn early. You know what I mean? So wrestling has definitely, my parents in wrestling has really, taught me that to be humble in defeat, humble in victory, whatever it is. And those are lessons you can carry on, through life in the family world, business world, your career, everyday life, just kind of passing on those values to people.
Well, I commend you for all your amazing fights, and have always been a fan of your fights. But I also admire your whole career being so humble and so having good sportsmanship as well. So that's always been a big thing. So I'm just going to commend you on that. And then obviously you can't be perfect. So looking back, say 15 years, if you could give yourself advice right now for 15 years ago, what do you think is the best advice you'd give yourself to help make your career a little bit better, or make things easier, or make you learn faster or smarter, whatever the case?
Man, it's
sorry, that's deep. That's a deep question, man. That's hard to answer, but I just figured there might be one thing that like you've done kind of over and over, especially in the beginning, that you might have looked back and said, you know what, I should have taken it easy here. I should have not done this, or something people can take from.
Yeah, no, that's another great question, man. And basically it's just being honest with myself right now, and not taking the time in between fights, and just being right back to the gym, and because everyone knows I love to travel. There's so much I want to do out there, and man, we've been very blessed to travel, coast to coast, worldwide. It's been awesome, but really where you've seen the I guess the talent pool, the skill level. A lot of these guys catch up to you because they're constantly in the gym. You know what I mean? So I would say, just me more commit, because once I'm in camp, that's boom. It's no one outworks us. That's like that goes with the cardio thing. No one outworks us while we're in the gym, but just getting back right and just going right back to camp when I don't have a fight lined up. Because most of the time, once we get the call, boom, right to camp. Yep. But you know how it is. You make those bigger.
Stress starts right away.
You improve more when you don't necessarily have a guy
right
a dotted line. So that's always been my thing. Just traveling and making the most out of it, and living the fun lifestyle. But sometimes you see these champs. There's a reason that they're the champs.
Yeah,
they don't take time off. Not that they necessarily take time off, but those guys live in the gym.
Yeah, and you don't pertain to the old factor for sure. I mean, you're not that you're old, but you're 39. So you're obviously, for most fighters who begin to the close of their career, maybe thinking about should they continue. That doesn't pertain to you, in my opinion. After watching this Michael Johnson fight, you are very much doing just fine. You got another 3 fights on your contract. You're not slowing down. That being said, though, what is it that you want to be remembered for by this new generation? Like, what would be the thing that you would be most proud of for the new generation to remember you and your legacy by from all your fights?
I like hearing that one, man. And you know what? It comes down to a few things. Obviously, always just having that entertainment value. People know it's going to be an ugly fight. It's going to be sloppy. Not a whole lot, but I want to leave people standing at their house at home and in the stands, wherever it is, in Vegas, in Singapore, in Saitama. I'd love to fight out there someday. Yeah. We were lucky enough to fight in Shudo before I got in the UFC. And those people, you know how they are. They sit. These people were standing spot down there. You know what I mean? So I've always want to leave that mark. That people always want more. When they have a Guida fight, and then a couple other things too. Obviously, my sights are always set on holding a belt. I got one in Strikeforce for a little while, and Gilbert Melendez took that. It's always in my sights in the UFC. But we'd really got to lay on the gas pedal now. But realistically, I'd like to finish my career with one, having the most takedowns in UFC history. And I think right now we're top 5 in the UFC, which is not bad for a kid from junior college wrestler. You know what I mean? We got something to think about. There's guys that are D1 that are national champs that have fought in the UFC, Olympic Henry Cejudo, that. And then I think it'd be cool to have the most UFC fights ever. I know Jim Miller's on the top of that level, top of the heap right now. So we're behind him, I think, with 5 or 6 fights. But it'd be
where
cool
are you at right now? I know you have 16 victories, right? So where are you at total for fights?
I think that was our 30th or 31st UFC fight just recently. I think Jim was supposed to just have his 36, and then the fight got canceled.
Shit.
Pretty wild, man.
Dude, I've had 15, and I thought that was a decent amount. But God, you doubled me, man. Over doubled me.
It's crazy, man. So things like that might not be super important to a lot of people. I think that just shows you. It's a testament to durability, to being, just kind of built to last, man. And that's the wrestler's creed. You know what I mean? It's, just being tough from a young age just kind of carries you through so much. And I owe it all to the sport of wrestling, man. Without wrestling, I wouldn't be here. We wouldn't be doing this interview right now. I wouldn't be, have this long of a career in mixed martial arts. So that's always been one reason I always love to go back. It's still my favorite sport to watch. I love coaching wrestling, and it's given me so much. It's afforded me so much in my life that I owe my life to wrestling, man.
Yeah, you're going to have a legacy for a lot of reasons. There's no doubt about that. You came into the UFC, I think, in like 2006, a couple years after me. I came in like 2004, I think, from Ultimate Fighter. So you were a little bit after me when you came in. I don't know exactly our career start. I think you started like 2003 or something. So I don't know who inspired you before. I was inspired a lot coming up from the Pride and a lot of those fighters, and then obviously some UFC fighters as well. Who was it that inspired you the most, or a couple guys that inspired you the most as you were coming up to try to form your style and form your mentality and the way you fight?
Well, number one, my brother, obviously. Big J. I did everything he did as a young age, starting at a young age. He wrestled. He got me into wrestling when I was little. He played baseball. I played baseball. He played football. I played football. So then obviously he started fighting. I started fighting by accident. And then we would go train with Joey Gilbert and Gilbert Grappling down in south suburbs of Chicago. And Joey Gilbert was Abu Dhabi ADCC. He took third. He lost to Leo Vieira, who won it. And then his UFC debut was BJ Penn's UFC debut back in, I think, 2003, which is kind of crazy how it came full circle. That was my coach. My first coach was BJ Penn's opponent, and then BJ's last opponent. I was BJ's last opponent in his UFC career. So kind of crazy how that worked out.
Crazy.
Joey Gilbert was a first four-time Illinois state champ at wrestling. Guy was a killer. Wrestled at University of Michigan. He wrestled the Brands brothers. So those guys were my inspiration outside of like big UFC names and Pride names. But man, our guy Randy Couture.
Yeah.
It doesn't get much better than that for entertainment value and what he was able to do at not a young age. You know what I mean? Yeah, he wasn't sitting on the couch eating potato chips at 35. He was like on the Olympic ladder competing internationally, trying to make the team. And then he, at that age, then he went over to mixed martial arts, and at 36 or whatever, he was in the UFC and fought until he was, I think I was at his last fight against Machida.
40
and he was
something,
44, old, something like
45,
whatever it was. So just to see a guy like that who came over at middle age at his prime and had so much, who was so dominant, had so much success at the top level, and he was fighting. I think I remember reading, and that was one of the last books I read, was the Natural, the one he came out with, and I can't remember how many of his fights were all main events and title fights. So his whole career, he was always training for 5 rounds, man, and that's not that ain't easy when you're in your late 30s and 40s and then mid and late 40s, so he was always demanding perfection in his career, no matter what it was, in business, and in the cage and coaching as well. And that was cool that you got to be you got to learn learn from some of those guys. And let's see, Uriah Faber, I remember watching him in King, first started getting into it, and I saw Uriah just do one of these wild he double-legged the guy and he had him up on his shoulders, and instead of slamming him on his back, I remember he went right backwards and like spiked the dude on his face. I'm like, that was badass, whoever this little dude is with the little butt chin, the California kid. Yeah. That's awesome. Oh, now I get to train alongside him. He's one of my coaches.
He's amazing.
He's one of my mentors. Dude, Andrei Arlovsky, it was crazy to see because we're from Illinois. I got to train with him when I was training at Gilbert Grappling. Got to see him be the champ, win the belt, knock out some dudes, and just he was. I always thought I was kind of like a little mini Andre. Obviously not with the striking, but just kind of with the long hair and just kind of how he bounced around in there. You know what I mean? So he was always so fun to watch, man. And he had some wild fights. He at the time he was they say the heavyweight, is the baddest man on the planet. But then kind of going to Pride. Those dudes were larger than life. Watching Sergey Haritonov come down. Watching Alistair Overeem walk down the catwalk with the wooden mat. Vanderlei Silva. I mean, the list goes on and on. Yeah. And then, the lighter weights, Takanori Gomi, I was lucky enough to share the cage with him. Yeah. One of the guys at the time. I think he might have been the most dominant, or I think he was like number one or number 2 lightweights in the world for, handful of years, no good. He was wrecking dudes, Yeah. So that was that we were pretty intimidated to get in there with that dude. And I tell you what, man, dude, I only got hit once in the fight. And it was by a jab, dude. And it was like, dude, I was like, up against the fence. He swung with that hook that cracks so many people, knocks him out. And when he swung, and he missed Mike by like this much.
Yeah.
And heard wind go by in front of me. I was like, oh man. And I just shot that double leg or high crouch on him and got him to the ground. And, I really wish Pride, to me, that it doesn't get better than that. Seeing a little guy against a big guy, Minimal Man fighting Bob Sapp, or how he would come out with this crazy double leg kick in the midair. So those were dudes that it was like David versus Goliath, or that you'd see, just so many of those badass dudes just go out there. They were just larger than life. So those were that's what really kind of got me pumped about the mixed martial arts. Hoist Gracie.
So many. Yeah.
Ken Shamrock shredded, look at like right off of, bodybuilding competition. And he jumps in there against Hoist Gracie, who doesn't really, people didn't expect a whole lot from him. And then he was submitting everybody and making these big dudes tap out and yell. So, those are definitely some of the guys that got me, just like so many other people, got me excited at a young age to watch a sport and be involved with it later,
That's awesome, man. Being that you're in the division, what do you make of the 155 pound division right now? Like the guys at the top and who's going to get the belt and all that. What's your take on how this is all going to play out in the next few fights?
Dude, I tell you what, man. When I was at 145, I thought that was because I think for the longest time, lightweight and welterweight were people were saying those are the most dominant. You know what I mean? And then when Frankie Edgar and I went down to 145. Then it was like, well, people are saying, holy crap, 145 was the new 155 or something like that. You know what I mean? So super dominant. But now, the lightweight division is it's action packed, just studs everywhere. Starting with Paul Felder. And I think he's done such a great job in commentary. Man, he's just super, super articulate. He's done an amazing job there. Super fun to watch. Takes fights on short notice. The dude's a freaking monster at 155. I don't even know how he makes weight.
Yeah, he's big.
Bro, just an animal. And the list goes on. Yeah, like I said, Tony Ferguson, Justin Gaethje, Poirier is an absolute destroyer.
We got Chandler now and Poirier and all these guys. Like, it seems like one of those guys is going to get the shot, and then Gaethje's there too. It's tough to figure out how this is going to play out. And then when it does play out, there's going to be an immediate contender that's going to be tough enough to beat the champ, if not give him a tough fight right away, like immediately. Like, there's already like a potential champion, a potential number one contender, potential number two contender. It seems like it's going to be a nice little run.
Yeah, for sure. It's a log jam up there right now, man. And going outside of that a little bit, because Khabib him and John Jones are the greatest of all time.
Yeah,
I'll call it right. People have said it for. It's hard to argue that. I'm going to put Henry Cejudo up there as well, because what he's done in just a short amount of time. You know what I mean? Olympic gold medalist and 2-time UFC, different weight classes. I'll put him up there as the greatest of all time. Combat sports, just because having that gold medal, dude, that speaks volumes for itself.
Crazy.
And remember, he was blowing weight a couple years before he won the belt. So how he escalated so quickly to dominance that's what impressed me the most.
Yeah.
But this one kind of goes outside of the box. This is just matchups with super fights that I would like to see. And I don't know what you think about this, or what, the casual fan or the hardcore MMA fan. I want to see Khabib and Usman at 170. I think would be doable, because I've heard Khabib walks around it. I heard at 180, 185. You know what I mean? And he's a big, strong dude, I've heard. And Usman, we know he couldn't make lightweight. That dude, I'm surprised he can even make welterweight. So to me, that's an intriguing matchup, because two of the most dominant guys in wrestling and the ground, and their stand-up, gets better and better. So to me, I don't know if that's a fans fight to sell pay-per-views, but I think that'd be a cool fight, just to see dominant wrestlers, grapplers, and just the toughest dudes in their weight class, I think, ever. Yeah. And dude, Gilbert Burns had him out, I thought, for a second, and to see how Usman recovered immediately was very impressive to me.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. And speaking of your Arlovsky hair, because you were saying that you had the Arlovsky hair, is it true? So I heard a long time ago, because when the UFC game came out in 2009, I heard that your hair was more advanced than the technology that went into the UFC 209 game. and you had a choice to cut your hair or not be in the game, and you chose not to cut your hair. Is this true?
Yeah, dude. That's a funny story, man. Yeah,
dude, you know what choice I made. Okay, so I fucking want to be in the game, dude. I don't care. I had that long Bradley Cooper hair, dude. You didn't even know that. You didn't know me back then. I shaved that shit and still shave it, dude.
Dude, it's funny you mention that, man, because the UFC, they brought us out to LA, to Universal Studios, to do like the body scan or do whatever for the video game.
I remember that machine.
Yeah, so we're out there that weekend. Then we get a call from, I think it was Ron Gold or whoever was like in charge of the video game. He's like, Guida, man, the artists or whoever they are, these guys, they can't get your hair right, man. We don't know what to tell you. They've tried several different ways. They don't know what to do, man. We're either going to have to put you in there bald, or you're going to have to cut your hair and then come back, or shorten it or shave it and then come back and we'll do the body scan again. And I was like, yeah, right, dude. Hold on. So I called Dana. I let him know. He's like, no way. He's like, give me 5 minutes. I'll call you back. Because he was pissed. He called me back. He's like, Guida, dude. He's like, I just spoke to these guys. They've tried everything. He's like, I tell you what, I'll give you $5,000 to cut your hair. I was like, come on, boss. Yeah, right. So he's like, whatever, dude. He's like, give me a few minutes. I'm going to call him back again. I'm going to tell him to get this thing right. He calls me back 5 minutes later. He's like, dude, they tried again. He's like, I tell you what, I'll give you $10,000 to cut it, dude.
Wow.
That's my final. I was like, boss, come on, man. Add another zero, and then we'll start talking business.
Wow.
He's like, you son of a gun, dude. So, yeah, I got left out of the original UFC 1 game because they couldn't replicate the mullet, dude.
That's cool. You got in the next one, though. I think they made the updates to the technology, right?
So it's all good, man. And it was kind of cool growing up. Obviously playing video games, and then with the action figures, they got the UFC action figures.
Yeah.
To now be in one, have your own action figure. I give it to my, for
sick.
Christmas gifts, stuff, or birthday gifts. Kids love it. But I always tell them, I'm like, dude, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, He-Man, and G.I. Joes are still way cooler, dude.
Dude, another funny Dana story about the action figure. So the first series of the action figure came out, and it's like, like total badasses, and like Dana said it's going to be me, right? So he came up to me, he's like, all right, dude, you're going to be one of the guys in the first action figure. There's like 5 or 6 of them, I can't remember, but it was like Anderson Silva, Chuck Liddell, like all these badasses. And I'm like, come on, Dan, I'm not going to be in this thing. I was a few fights in the UFC. I had like, 4 or 5 wins in a row or something like that. But it was like, I was far from like those guys, right? And he's like, yeah, you're going to be in the game. But he goes, since you backed out of so many fights, we have to have like special figures too. We can't just have like everyone's the same. So you're going to be injured. We're going to make you injured because you're injured all the time and because you miss so many fights. And I didn't know how to take it because I was like excited because I'm getting an action figure, but I was like really heartbroken that I was going to be injured. Like I didn't know if I was going to have like crutches or like an arm sling or what. And
on the arm.
And he didn't tell me any different. Like he was dead serious until they came out. Like he never told me it was a joke or it was like, and I had to wait till they came out. And then when they came out, I was so scared. And then like I opened it, I was testing it and everything. And like he was just fucking with me. But I was like, God, dude, for like months, dude, for months you fucked with me. Look, I didn't even tell my family I was even gonna have one just in case it was too embarrassing when it came out.
Embarrassment, man.
Yeah, see, he's funny, man. People don't realize.
That's Dana for you, man.
What's up, everybody? I am here in Thailand. This is the first time I've ever been here. Been dying to come here for years. Mike Swick, he's one of the big reasons he's been trying to pull me down here. What he built down here, AKA Thailand, is incredible. There's people here from all over the world. You can train mixed martial arts here, jiu-jitsu. They have weightlifting, they have cardio, and obviously they have Muay Thai, boxing, everything. I'm telling you guys, I know everybody wants to go to Thailand because Thailand's so cool, but you can't come to Thailand without coming to AKA Thailand. Come on.
But anyway, man, tell me a little bit what's going on out there with you, my man. Tell me a little something on what you been up to, dude.
Dude, I'm in Thailand, man. So I'm in Phuket. I built my dream gym out here. It's like 2-acre compound, 2-acre complex. Got multiple buildings on it. We got a restaurant. We got Muay Thai in the middle of the jungle on a mountainside. And it's just like, I mean, for me, man, like for my life, this is like the best thing I could be doing right now. I feel younger than ever. I feel more shape than ever. I'm having a good life. The culture, the lifestyle is very low stress, really cool, really chill. It's cool, man. It's really awesome. It's a beautiful island, Phuket, Thailand. It's amazing. So when you get a chance to come out here or take a vacation, man, just hit me up, and I guarantee you're gonna have the best time of your life, man. We'll hit the gym a little bit, do a little training. I'm not gonna let you beat me up, man, because I'm not like fight training. I'm just like trying to like get my size back training where I look like a fighter, because I never really did. But I'm not really fight training that much. But we could train a little bit, man. We can hit the islands. We can cruise on the boat. We can do all some cool stuff. And there's a lot of fishing too, man. What we do is we catch like tuna right off the boat, and then we'll just eat them like right off they'll just cut them up right there fresh.
Dude, it sounds like you're in paradise. You're living the life out there, man. And I tell you what, dude, I've been. That's one of those places on the bucket list. Like it's top on there, dude. Obviously, so many of our friends and teammates and buddies have gone out there and trained. And Phuket is supposed to be like the island. I've only seen pictures and videos from my friends coming back. They're like, dude, the water color it's
beautiful.
Unreal. Just everything's ridiculous, man. So it sounds like you're in the spot, man. And that's it's top on the list, man. I'd love to come out there and work out and get to see the sights, man, and do some fishing. How about the monkeys, dude? Tell me about the monkeys. Are you near those things at all?
Yeah, you know what? I'm very fortunate. I've never been attacked. I've been attacked, but I haven't been bit. And it's if you follow, like Dana follows, so he's seen all the videos and stuff, and they're so randomly posted now. You can't look in one place and see them. But like I've had so many close encounters, but like I'm like one with the monkeys, man. I can't stay away from those things. And like I always get attacked or close to getting attacked. I just haven't been bit yet. So yeah, I love them, man. It's cool because they pop up everywhere. They're in the middle of like everywhere you go. So it's kind of cool, and the wildlife is cool. The right now it's the best, honestly. Like my gym has been suffering for 12 months because there hasn't been customers. So it's been like beyond a worst case scenario to have a gym that's 2 acres, one of the biggest gyms in the world, and then not have revenue or like at least a lot of revenue for like an entire year. Like how do you prepare for that usually? You know what I mean? So that was tough. But now we have customers coming back. People are coming in through quarantine. It's getting better. But that being said, it's one of the best times to be in Thailand because when we go to the islands now, like Phuket, Phi Phi Island or any islands around here, there's no tourists. I mean, it's like they're just now letting tourists back in. So it's not oversaturated. So you can actually take photos of yourself on private islands or private beaches and like all these beautiful sites.
That's awesome. And yeah, I was going to ask, how's the compound doing with the whole COVID thing?
And there's no corona. There's no corona in Thailand. It's out.
That's awesome.
Because just to come into Thailand, you have to get tested. You have to fly in. You got to get tested again. Then you have to sit in a hotel room for 2 weeks right now. This is the way it is right now. So for 2 weeks, you got to stay in a hotel room. You can't leave. You can't associate with anybody. You can't do anything else. Then you have to get tested again, and then they let you in the country. So fortunately for me, we have such a nice following with AK Thailand. We've actually had a lot of people that came in, went through the quarantine, and they've actually came in and they're staying for 3 months, 6 months, or a year.
That's awesome, man. It sounds like you got some lifers out there, dude.
Yeah, but a lot of people come for a long term, man. They come for like 3 months, 6 months, a year, 2 years, 3 years. Like they just live out here, man. It's like it's pretty cool. You're gonna love it. I gotta ask you one quick question before we go. So your truck just got broken into, and I know how frustrating and stressful that is. Is everything okay? Like, did you get nothing major got stolen, correct?
Yeah. So check it out. It was a day before I was going to take off. I was going to go fishing with this guy, Nick, the Informative Fisherman. He's like one of the biggest YouTube sensations out there in Northern California. This guy catches just monster bass, and his name is Nick, the Informative Fisherman. Like he could teach a blind guy how to tie a knot, how to catch a fish, man. The guy's awesome. So I was all pumped up. I woke up early, go for a run, and I'm in a Hilton Garden Inn hotel. Nice place, pretty nice part of Sacramento. Go for a run. It was funny. I was kind of doing like Instagram Live and just think because it was still pretty close after the fight, only a few days, and I just want to let people know, hey, thanks. I haven't gotten back to everyone, but I'm working on it because I always individually go through every text message. It takes a week. I go through every social media message and just thank everybody, So I'm doing that. Half hour later, 40 minutes later, I come back and I'm running in the parking lot and I see old Blue. I'm like, that's weird. Why is my suitcase outside of the truck? I look up. Why is my window open? I don't remember rolling my window down last. And then I'm like, son of a gun, dude. And I ran up to it and someone busted in the window while I was running, dude. Like in the morning, they didn't do it at night when it was dark. They did it in the morning. I'm like, son of a gun. So I think they kind of got caught in the act because I saw this little red bag, look like a tool bag that they tried to bust a window in with. There was a dude's shoe out there. So I think someone saw him and he just
They
grabbed
saw
what
it
he
was
could.
you, bro, and they ran out of their shoes. That's what happened. They said
Dude,
it's
like,
Clay Guida's freaking car. Dude,
So, yeah,
you would have chased that guy for 10 miles.
Right, exactly.
There's no way to outrun you like a cheetah.
Dude, I wish you know what? I'm kind of glad I didn't see it because who knows how I would have.
Yeah.
But so they got two big suitcases packed with clothes, which whatever. You know how much clothes we get, man. That stuff's all replaceable. But dude, in my one suitcase, I had my little badass USA Wrestling fight night gear bag that I bring into the locker room with me, dude.
Yeah.
With my little, I got a cool little Michelangelo Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle action figure. I got my fight gloves. I just got my fight night bag. You know what I mean? I had it for a dozen years, man. The whole time in UFC, Israel Martinez got it. My wrestling coach at Izzy Style Wrestling, he got that for me. So that's the only thing that's not going to be able to be replaced. The clothes, no big deal.
Sucks.
And then they the fight night posters, the fight week posters, the ones you sign, man, were in that big thing. So I'll be able to get some replacements, just not with the autographs. So I hope that homeless person is enjoying my gear and those posters. Don't go selling those things on eBay now, man. And I hope they realize what they have. Those posters are cool.
Hopefully they do, because man, you could probably track that somehow, like, because it's one of a kind, those things. And if it does pop up on eBay, you never know. I think you could probably hit up eBay and just let them know what happened, and they'll at least, maybe if it's a second or third party buy, then they'll at least get it back or something and say, look, this is stolen material. So that might be your only chance.
Yeah. So yeah. Anyway, on that. Old Blue, he got a little black eye, but he's tough as nails. He's a survivor. And it's funny you bring that up because he's been through some stuff in Sacramento. He got stolen a few years before that in front of Uriah Faber's, in front of his house, like, which is a very nice area. Faber was the day was the first night that he just moved in because he had just had the house remodeled and everything, and it was fight night. I think Josh Barnett was fighting. And he's like, yo, Guida, let some people over and fight night or whatever. And so I just stayed the night. I woke up in the morning to go for a run. I look out the window. I'm like, man, I could have swore I parked my truck right here. And I was kayaking and paddleboarding earlier that day. And I had him strapped on top of the truck. And apparently a couple of low-life crackheads or whatever wanted my toys. So they broke into the truck and just took the whole thing, man.
That sucks, man.
So
fuck, that sucks, man.
And then we found it. So yeah, luckily we found it 3 days later, 3 blocks away from Faber's house. So I tell you what, man, Blue's battle tested. He's not going anywhere anytime soon, man.
Yeah. Man, I appreciate all your time. I've taken a lot of it so far. Is there any way I can grab 2 quick predictions just because you're so experienced and you've been in the game for so long, just really fast?
Yep. Fire them off, man. Go for it.
I want to get your opinion on Jan versus Stylebender. That's coming up pretty soon. Just for the fact Stylebender's moving up, taking on a big guy like Jan.
Boy, that dude's been on a tear lately.
Yeah.
Man. You know what? I'm gonna have to go with. And that's gonna be at light heavyweight. Did they just announce that?
Yeah.
Boy. Okay. Well, I'll give you my prediction why, or at least who I think is gonna win. I don't know how, but I'm taking Stylebender, man, only because of the fact I wasn't sold on him for a while, man. Tall, lanky striker. He was beating these dudes, and I'm like, just wait. A real good wrestler is going to get him and be able to hold him down and somehow kind of negate, his stand-up and striking. And, dude, Kelvin Gastelum, the who's who. He's
got them all.
Yoel Romero.
Paulo Costa.
It's been honestly one of the most impressive title runs and title holders that I've seen. So I'm not a gambling man, but I cannot bet against that guy right now. Yeah. So I think has he been in the UFC a little bit longer than Jan so far? I feel like Jan's still kind of relatively new, maybe.
I don't know comparatively, but I know he's been making like moves and doing big things a lot longer. I mean, Jan just kind of got to the title. He's been underestimated a lot. He's just a big, massive guy, and that's why a lot of people don't know who he is, and they're not as familiar with him. He fought Rockhold, which opened my eyes because Rockhold's my teammate. Rockhold kind of underestimated him, and he kind of went through Rockhold, and that was kind of the first time we're like, oh shit, this is a different kind of guy.
Put everyone on alert. That's right. When he clipped Luke, I was like, who? Dude, so
he kind of done that a couple more times, won a couple big fights, and now he's a light heavyweight champ, but his just size is so big. That's kind of the only reason. Aside from the accolades, Stylebender for sure has done way more and has accomplished way more and shows way more technique as far as like he's one of the best strikers I think in the entire sport. And if he beats Jan, I think he's one of the best fighters in the sport right there. The other fight, if you follow them, would be also Sterling versus Jan coming up. Do you have any take on that? Because Jan's obviously the champion. He's pretty damn good, but Sterling's got a lot of hype too coming in. So it's kind of when I'm picking Jan, but I like Sterling. I'm just kind of making a pick. But I mean, I don't. It could go either way, you know.
For sure, man. You talk about youth, athleticism, power. Both of these guys, I mean, they're the truth, man. They both have all of those things. This is an easy one for me to pick because, you know, Petr Yan put it on my coach Uriah, you know what I mean, at that fight. And granted, it wasn't, I was right there. I was like second row. It wasn't like he picked him apart the whole fight. You know what I mean? He wasn't piecing them up or anything.
Right.
But when they landed and they did damage. Yeah. You know what I mean?
He's tough.
And then he ran his mouth a little bit, kind of a little disrespectful afterwards. I heard, you know, in the locker room, whatever. It's like, man, show some respect to a guy that paved the way.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
for guys.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? But yeah, Aljamain, man, you talk about entertainment value, explosiveness, just super fun to watch. And this guy, he can do it all, man. I'm going to go for him. I don't know how, but I think that's one of the most exciting bantamweight title fights that we're going to have in a while. So I'm going to go with Sterling on that one too, man.
All right, cool, man. Well, that's awesome, and I appreciate your opinion. And man, thank you so much for coming on the podcast, man. It's been so long. I've just enjoyed talking to you, man. It's been so long since I talked to you, and our careers they coincide together, our whole careers, and we've seen each other off and on and had appearances, and we're at events and everything else. So it's been good to just sit down and talk to you and catch up, and I'd love to see you out here in Thailand. So hopefully you get a chance soon to take a break and come out here, and we can relax and chill, and I can show you a whole different world, brother.
Absolutely, Mikey. Thank you so much for your time, man. And I'm just pumped to get down and just shoot the shit, have a good time, and kind of catch up with everything that's been going on. Great for us, man. And I'm super excited for you. That's on the bucket list, man. And I'd love to come out. You can show me around, man. I want to check out the monkeys, the surfing, the food, everything, man. The wildlife. It sounds like a great place. So I'm excited for you guys. And guys, check out Gillz and Thrillz with Guida.
Yeah,
Let's It'll be a great time. So
we'll go ahead and we'll actually put all that stuff in the bio, the description on YouTube, so people can check it out.
Okay. And
then we'll get that handled for sure. And then, man, again, thanks so much. And listen, since this was a long podcast, I know because one of our first ones, but I'd love to do a quick update with you when you get an opponent and you get something signed, just to do a quick update, get a breakdown of your fight camp and your training. It'll be a lot quicker than this, I promise. But I just had to have one long podcast, man, and talk to you and catch up with you. So my selfishness here took over, and I appreciate your time, man. I really do.
All good, Mikey. Thanks again for everything, man. All the best to you, and I'll see you on the islands, my man. Thank you.
All right, brother. See you soon.
Take care. Peace.
Real quick, with Mike Swick. Real